record this and then pull up my notes. I think it should record just that screen and not my notes. My Nellie's like whining in the background too because she can hear me and she's not in here.
Aw. They would be best buds because they
Yeah,
just don't ever leave us alone.
I know. I know. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, welcome back to the Health is Your Light podcast. I am your host, Mariah, and today I have a special guest. I have known Kennedy now for almost 1 year, which is crazy. She was
Yeah.
first introduced to me by a previous client who I absolutely love and who I helped Cece. So I knew that if Cece was bringing on any clients, like they were going to be awesome because Cece is awesome. But I didn't realize the relationship that Kennedy and I were going to create. So, Kennedy, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. This is my first podcast ever. So
Woohoo!
I know I'm excited. Yeah, a little nervous, but like I'm excited to hear how this goes.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully we can do it in person soon.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to just go to Kelowna for like a weekend and just like go to Iron Energy and see what it's about because right now I'm at Anytime Fitness and it ain't
Yeah,
it. It
yeah,
ain't it.
absolutely. So, I'm trying to get you to move here, but we
I
need to get
know.
your partner to also move here. But I think you would love it, and I think you should because then we can train all the time. And obviously, Iron Energy is amazing, but yeah, you're not that far. Victoria's not that far from Kelowna.
Yeah. I asked him the other day, I said, would you ever move somewhere with me? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, okay. So that's not going to take that hard to convince.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I was
You
like,
just need to
sweet.
you just need to start putting like his resume out, and then he'll just
Yeah.
start getting like random calls from people like, wait, how did you get my resume? Gets
Well, he's
jobs in
super into
Kelowna.
like film stuff too. So like he does podcasts and all this. So I don't know. He has his own little thing happening, but he would just need like an actual, full-time job, but he could
Yeah,
find that anywhere. So
exactly. And then you can
yeah.
get into film and stuff in Kelowna and stuff, which would be cool too. But
Yeah, that would.
it's actually really funny. I was thinking about how like we first started talking and like there's those, I'm sure everybody has heard like those scams kind of on like Instagram where people hack your accounts. So me and Kennedy were talking and we were chatting and we were kind of getting to the end like, yeah, do you want to come on as a client? Like what do you think? Yada yada. And then all of a sudden it was like trying to get a message from like this other account because you got hacked. And then I'm getting messages from your account like, hey, trade in this Bitcoin thing or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. So that's how like our relationship started off, which is really funny. But then you ended up coming in and being a client. So it all worked out.
I remember messaging you from like Facebook, like any which way I could get a hold of you and being like, I'm really into the contest. I'm so sorry. Like, just please.
I know you're like, I swear, like, okay, that's not me, just ignore it, but I'm in, I want to get in, which is really funny. But yeah, I kind of want to go back to that time, like, take me back almost 1 year ago. Like, what were you doing at that point?
Yeah. So I had done like keto and everything for, I don't know, probably like 2 years on and off. And then COVID hit, you gain the COVID weight, you don't know how to get rid of it. You're doing all these random ass YouTube videos that are like, lose weight in 2 weeks. I was guilty of thinking that was going to work. Um, so I was doing that. And then, whatever, fast forward, I tried going to the gym and training a bit on my own. Realized that I couldn't do it on my own. I saw how well Cece was like, she was enjoying life. Like, she was kind of trying to like lose weight, build muscle, live a healthier lifestyle because we both had worked in a bar. And when you work in a bar, it doesn't really go hand in hand with a healthy lifestyle. So we both quit the bar. She works at a breakfast place. I started working at an Asian noodle house. And then I just like started feeling more and more depressed because I like watched her success, and not, I wasn't like upset that she was succeeding, but I wanted to feel how she was feeling because she was like had this new lease on life, and I was just like serving chow mein and being miserable and like sleeping and then drinking excessively to like numb the pain. So anyway, so she's like, okay, Mariah has this contest. You need to do it. And then yeah, I gave away my Instagram account to these random people. But yeah, I was just finding that like I got into a relationship. I was eating whatever my boyfriend was eating, and he's like a skinny skater dude. He can eat whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm in a relationship. Like, let it all go.
Yeah.
But me, I know subconsciously, like I've always been like very, I need my appearance. I need to be healthy within my mindset. Everything needs to be perfect. So it was like I kind of hit rock bottom, found you. um my life slowly changed. It was hard at first to kind of get with the macros and the habits and stuff, of course, like that's normal, it's totally different. But soon it became like a fun little game. I don't know, like being like, what am I going to eat today? And then I would like
Mhm.
try and put it in before I would even eat the thing. So I would know. But yeah, there's been bumps in the road and stuff, but I've just learned, like, especially with my drinking was a huge thing for me. Like my boyfriend likes to drink. He has a lot of friends who like to drink. um, so we would drink like Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday would be like, let's eat a large pizza and an ice cream, and then you just feel like shit till Wednesday, and then you just do it all over again. And I was like, okay, this isn't helping me. None of this is helping me. Doesn't even make me happy in the moment. And alcohol is a huge depressant too. So you're just sad, and it's, I don't know. So now I only drink on special occasions.
Mhm.
And I really like hate being hungover. It's a pet peeve of mine. I can't do it. I like, people are like, just power through. And I'm like, nope, my days are right off. I'm in bed watching TV. Like I feel like crap. So yeah, I don't know. I want to live and enjoy, maintain a healthy lifestyle, and drinking just goes not with that. So
Yeah, well, I think that's super relatable. Like the kind of just getting into that cycle of drinking on the weekend and then having that hangover and being like, yeah, this is just normal. Like this is like what my Sunday
yeah,
is like before I restart and then start my week again, kind of thing, right? So
yeah,
that's definitely like relatable. I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel that same way. And like you said, that was your normal, but now it's like you hate being hungover. And
yeah,
you used to be hungover every weekend, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and like so how were you able to change those habits? Because I think a lot of people find it hard to be like, yeah, but like I want to drink, like I like alcohol, like I want to do that. How were you able to realize that like you didn't want to waste your Sundays anymore? Like how were you able to overcome that?
Yeah, so I think it took a lot of time, and I think it took a lot of me repeating the bad habits over and over again to finally realize, like, every time I look in the mirror, I'm not seeing any difference. Like, I could work out 5 days a week, but at the end of the day, liquor is empty calories. And I'm not talking I'm going out for a couple glasses of wine. Like I'm going out having double margaritas, taking shots, like probably eating unhealthy that night too, and then following with the next day. And I just really had a chat with myself, and I was like, how does this make you feel? Are you really surrounding yourself with the right people? Like, do you want to waste all your money spending it on alcohol? Do you want to hang out with these people that like have no drive? And I know you have drive, Ken. Like you just need to get it. And nothing's easy in life. So I kind of had to have that chat with myself and with my partner too. Like he is a very social person, and I used to be, but I'm kind of on this like kick right now where I don't know, I'm so focused on my life that I don't have time to like just go and have random drinks with people. And for me, it's a big waste of my day, because then it not only affects that day, it affects the day after. So for me, I just was like, you have to stop. You have to stop. And now my boyfriend will go out, hang out with people, and I'll stay home and I'll be like, you know what? Like I have to. And it's just the promise I've made to myself. And I think that it's taken me a lot of years to value my own opinion because I've cared so much about pleasing other people that it's like at the end of the day, you're the person who dies with yourself, like you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
So you should impress yourself, you should love yourself. And if you don't want to go out, don't go out. Like, you know what? And your partner should support you. And he does. Every time I don't want to go out, he's like, okay, babe, no problem. Like, we'll
Yeah.
do something tomorrow.
And that's a supportive partner,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right? Like
He,
that's
yeah.
that's like perfect. That's exactly who you should have. But I think there's people out there that don't have partners like that.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you drinking anymore? Like, why aren't you
Yeah.
having like this food with me anymore? And like, why aren't you doing this with me? And it's like their own reflection of how they feel, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they see someone very close to them up leveling their life and changing their life for the better, but they're like, don't want them to go. So they're like pulling them back down.
Yeah.
And that's so important for you to recognize, like, yeah, he does support me, and that's important to me, right? Because, like, who knows if like you tried to change and he wasn't supportive, like, how would that make you feel, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think another thing that's really important, what you said too, like, you started to become more aware how important your time is to yourself, and trading that time for just like a couple random drinks to like quote unquote socialize, like, isn't worth that. And I don't think
Mm-hmm.
people realize that. They kind of just get into that. Socializing isn't just drinking alcohol, but I think that's like a lot of the relationships people have nowadays. So if you were to, not you in particular, but if in general someone was to look at the group of friends they had and looked at like what activities they did with those friends, I would be curious to see how many friends that they actually had that all they didn't do was just drink alcohol with, right?
Yeah.
Like we associate, oh, socializing and having fun just with alcohol. And it's like, well, that's not really the best relationship then, because you're most likely not having like bigger conversations or actually meaningful conversations. You're just going to like bullshit and talk shit about how shitty your job is and how stressed you are, or politics or inflation or what's going on in the world. But you're not actually like going and doing things with your life. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just very surface level. I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
like people who are like want to hit a happy hour or something, like, we should go for drinks. It's always the first thing, meeting a new friend or something, especially like working in the industry, serving. It's always like we should get drinks. It's like, yeah, well, that's not really my thing right now. And like they kind of look at you like, oh, you're not drinking. And it's like, well, I can drink, I just don't want to,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd much rather like go for a walk and like talk on a more meaningful level about like, I don't know, you as a human being, not like just surface level you and like let's,
Exactly.
yeah.
Let's
So
go get lattes and go for a walk by the ocean.
yeah,
Like
like
something,
that
right?
sound yeah, that
Like
sounds way
actually doing
better.
something active or going on hikes or something, like doing more activities. And like this is not to say like I love going for happy hour sometimes and I love
Yeah.
going for drinks sometimes, but it's when every single time you're with those people, like that's all you
Mhm.
do and you can never do other things. It just always
Yeah.
happens to be like alcohol and a drink or food or whatever that may be. And you just touched on something too where I talked about this with my last guest, Cole, and he said the same thing. Like, it's never this thing, it's always the opposite. Like, when you tell someone, oh, like, I'm just not really drinking, people like hound you about it and bug you about it. And like, why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking? And it's like, they don't say that about drugs. Like, oh, why aren't you doing drugs? Why aren't you doing
Yeah.
drugs? And it can be the same thing for people. If somebody's not trying to drink alcohol, like that's on them. And that's the abnormal thing. Yet drinking all the time is normal for some reason, but it should be the abnormal thing. And it's crazy that you get judged more if you decide to drink less versus drink more in today's day and age.
Yeah. Or like even with eating too, it's like, oh no, like you'll go out for dinner with someone and you're like, okay, like I can only eat these certain things because this is what fits into my plan. Like it's your choice to do macros if that's what you want or whatever you want to do. But I find that a lot of people are like, oh, just eat it. It's fine. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, no, I'm not just going to eat it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of judgment about it. Um, yeah, I feel like that goes with drinking and drugs as well. But no one, yeah, you're right. No one ever questions you, and you're like, no, I'm not smoking that weed. They're like, okay, perfect. Or like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing whatever, so and so, like, whatever.
No,
Oh,
I
okay,
don't
no
want to snort.
worries.
I don't want to snort coke off of
A
lines in the
hooker's ass.
bathroom. Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay, no worries. And it's like, obviously, I'm not comparing drinking alcohol to doing cocaine all the time, but it's like alcohol is a drug.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a drug. It makes you hungover. You waste your day. You end up, it's proven you always end up eating more calories like that day or the next day. So it is like causing you to be unhealthy. And it's normal to do that, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and like another thing with the food too is you get judged so much more for eating quote unquote healthy rather than eating like shit. Like
Yeah.
how is that the opposite? Like you're gonna get judged far more often for choosing like some chicken and like a good salad or just whatever, some like hearty thing that's like really good for you. And people will comment on it, but they won't comment on you smashing down a whole burger and fries and dessert after with two
Yeah.
drinks at dinner.
They'll be like, yeah, oh yeah, me too, buddy. And it's like, okay. But then you like get a salad with chicken, and they're like, why didn't you get a burger? And it's like,
Yeah,
I didn't want a burger.
I know. I know. And it's not like I'm saying we should judge people who get things like that. Again, I love
No,
to eat a burger once in a while and I love to eat a pizza once in a while. But at the same time, we just shouldn't judge in general. Like,
no.
why are we making comments or bugging people? And another thing I'll say is when you're around people and you choose a certain food or you don't drink the alcohol or you choose not to have dessert and they make a comment like, "Oh, well you already look good. Like you already are fine. Like you're already skinny, quote unquote, whatever skinny means." Like I don't know who wants to be skinny anymore. I want to be
Mm,
strong, but like
yeah.
whatever, you're already skinny, like you can eat it. And it's like, no, the point is like why I'm healthy, why I look this way, why I feel good is because I choose to say no at all of those little times, just like this time right now. The reason I am how I am right now is because I choose to say no at these certain things. And I
Hmm.
only have food or alcohol at special occasions, like you said you do now. And
Yeah.
I just don't think people understand that. It's all of the little times that add up. It's not these big
Yeah.
times.
Well, it's like, and for my partner, he likes to have a beer when he goes out for dinner, or I don't know, a glass of wine, and that is totally fine. But for me personally, I won't, just because like I kind of am the person who's like all in or nothing at all. So I tend to choose like nothing at all a lot of the times because I know that there is a fine line for me. Um, but I mean, that's just personally, he can do it no problem, and that's fine, but that doesn't affect me, right? Like I
Yes.
don't, he's not drinking, it doesn't make me want to drink, right? So like
Yeah,
I think that's super important to have. Like your support system should not make you feel guilty about
absolutely.
not joining them with the drink, or even like if he wants to eat a pint of ice cream in bed, then he can do that. As much as
Yeah,
it's going to suck for me to watch him do that, you have to think about yourself and your goals. Is that ice cream going to help you, or is it going to push you further and further away from the dream
exactly.
body, or the healthy mind you want? So
Yeah. And it's really important that you recognize that for yourself because you're someone that's like, yeah, I'm an all or nothing person. So I know for me, it's better to just like, yeah, I could have one glass of wine at dinner, but typically that one glass of wine for me leads to like two or three, and I don't really want that. So I'd rather just like not have any or just like
mhm.
have a sip of my boyfriend's or something, right? Like
Yeah.
things like that too, and not having that pressure on yourself. But obviously you've gotten to this point now, but it didn't start like that when you first started with me in the program like last
No.
September, right? So and I want to talk about how when you first started you were kind of like everybody else where it's like you're super motivated, you're committed at the start, like for the first 8 weeks, but then you started to like self sabotage a little bit and
Yes.
you started to like fall off and then like not really pay attention. I don't know like if you were drinking what like the exact details at this point, but can you explain like what happened, like how you were so motivated and excited, like so many people are when they first get into like a quote unquote fitness program or like fitness journey? And then what happened after those, like, I think it was like between the 8 to 12 week mark.
Yeah, so I was all pumped up. It was something new, it was exciting. Um, and then I started to feel like I was just doing the motions. I was just going and I was just doing it, but I didn't actually feel it. And I think that just comes from like years and years of, yeah, I'm not going to say trauma, but I just think that like I have been one to self-sabotage. So for me to like actually feel like I deserve something, it's super hard for me to like get that in my brain. So I was kind of just falling off the wagon, really being like, you know what, I've worked out 3 days this week. I can go and drink, or I can go and eat a pizza out for dinner. Um, or I can intuitively eat. I don't need to follow my macros. Um, so I kind of did that. And it was just like, because I didn't feel like I deserved to see the best results. I didn't feel like I was worthy to have my dream body, or maybe be in a competition one day, or be a personal trainer one day. I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm just doing this because it's apparently good for you, kind of thing. Um, and then something clicked, and I just was like, looked in the mirror, and I was like, okay, like I signed up with Mariah to change my life, not to go back, not to be all committed and so excited for the first 8 weeks and then hit a roadblock and just go down. So I kind of gradually got myself back up again. Started, yeah, doing the thing where I'm like only drinking on special occasions. That was harder than just like turning it off, obviously. It went through the motions for sure. And then I was starting to count my food again because I just realized like I have been a binge eater. I will eat a whole bag of chips if it is in my house. So there is no way for me to count any of that. Um, so I kind of started being strict with myself again, and started going on the Facebook group more, and like reaching out to like people for tips and stuff like that. And I don't know, just being a little harder on myself in the best way possible. I wasn't negative speaking to myself. I was more like, okay, you want this? How are you going to get that? Because no one's just going to give it to you, right?
Mhm.
Signing up with a coach doesn't mean that you're going to get the results if you don't put the work in. Like
Say
you
it
can pay
louder.
signing up with a coach doesn't mean you're automatically going to get the results. You have to
Exactly.
put in the work. So for me, I'm like, you know what? I signed up, I did my first 8 weeks, whatever, I see results, but then it's like, I'm not maintaining them. I'm just like getting worse than getting better. And I feel like a lot of people are like, if you don't give your 100% at the beginning, you're going to fail, but it's like I would actually prefer to give 60% at the beginning, and then 80, and then 100. So you gradually work your way up, because honestly, getting into a fitness journey, it pulls out so much shit. It pulls
Hmm.
out stuff from your childhood. It pulls out stuff about your partner or yourself, or like, it's a lot of mental stuff.
Yeah.
People just think it's going to work out 4 or 5 days a week. That's it. It's like, no, it's actually a lot. And you come
Yeah.
out way better. You really do. And I'm just beginning mine, and I'm learning so much about myself and my surroundings. But yeah, don't go full force and then trickle down. Like, work your
Mhm.
way up slowly. Make sure you can sustain the routine, because it will get to you, and then you'll be like, I don't deserve this, I don't deserve this, and then you get all the negative thoughts, and that's not good.
Yeah, there's so much I want to like unpack there because you touched on so many points. Like the first one is so, so, so relatable to so many of like clients that I see, or even people that are reaching out to me on social media about them not even realizing that they have this like subconscious thought that they don't feel deserving of reaching their end goal. And it's
Mm,
like that unconscious self sabotage because for you, it wasn't even conscious at first. And I was like, Kennedy, what's going on? Like, you were doing amazing. You were following all your shit. You're seeing amazing results. Like, what happened? And we had an honest conversation. So we were able to overcome that and talk about it. And then you were able to figure things out and be like, yeah, you know
Mhm.
what? This is important. I do deserve this. I do deserve to get to my end goals, feel confident, be in the body that I want to be. And I think so many people are stuck in that in between of not even realizing that they're self sabotaging because they don't even truly believe they can get to their end goals because they've never seen that for themselves before or ever. So it's almost like they're like, how can I ever get there if I've never seen it? And they've failed so many times on various diets and fitness plans, like just like you. I think you're the perfect like person to look at for that. Like you were on keto for how long, lost weight, gained it back, not sustainable. So you literally were that person. But you
Yeah.
finally decided like, no, I'm not going to let like diets or falling off like I have so many times in the past control me. And you basically decided like this is the last time. Like I am getting to my goals. And I think that's the important thing here is like you just need to decide. Like it's
Yeah.
as simple and complicated as that. You just need to decide to go and work on your goals and get there and push out all of the rest of the negativity and just do it. And that's how you're going to get to your goals. And that's how you're truly going to break the cycle of all of the diets you've done in the past.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too, a lot of people worry about what other people are going to think.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's opinions really affect them. And I think that fuck it. Like, do not, and I know it's harder like saying it than actually, or harder doing it than actually saying it, but just do what you want to do. Like, don't listen to someone if they're like, you know what, you don't need a coach. Like, just do it yourself. You can't do it yourself. Do you know, like you are a very awesome coach and you have a coach
Yeah.
because you want a coach and you need a coach. You can't do everything yourself. So I think a lot of people's mindset on having a coach is like, well, why are you going to waste $400-500 a month
Hmm.
to have a coach when you can just go to the gym yourself? And it's like, it is so much more than going to the
Yeah.
gym. Like I said, it's a lot of mind stuff.
How
And
can I expect to get somewhere I've never been before by
yeah,
myself?
yeah,
Like, I am trying to get somewhere I have never experienced or been before. So I hire somebody who's been there before to get me there,
yeah,
right? So, like we were just talking about when people can't see themselves getting somewhere or achieving that dream body, that dream physique, that health, you need a guide to walk the steps with you because they've already been there before. It's like you go to the dentist to clean your teeth, right? Like you can brush your teeth and clean your teeth at home, but
yeah,
sometimes you need an extra good brush and you need that reminder to floss at home because you never
yeah.
floss, right? Like there's so many different areas that you could compare it to. I think it's just because there's obviously so much knowledge about health and fitness on the internet. There's not like information on how to be a dentist. You need to actually go to school to do that, right? So it's a little bit different. And I think that's where this like blockage is from being like, oh, do I actually need a coach or can I do it on my own? You
Yeah.
very well could do it on your own and teach and learn. It's going to take you 5 to 10 times as long. It's going to take more time. It's going to take more money rather than if you just hired someone who's already walked the path before you. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, hire me. I'm saying this in general for anything you do in life.
Hmm.
Growing my business, I hired a business coach so I didn't have to make all the same mistakes that he did. So I could get to where he got to 10 times faster than he did. It's the same thing with health and fitness and losing weight and learning macros. I am coaching you so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did for so many years. And my
Yeah.
biggest mistake is never hiring a coach sooner than I did. And that's what I always tell people. When you actually get to the point of hiring a coach, whenever that point is, you probably should have hired a coach a year or 2 years before the moment that you actually hired a coach.
Yeah. I honestly wish I hired you like yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah. I
So
know. But it's so hard to actually be like, okay, I do need help, and like kind of suck it up and be like, yeah, I need that support. But once you do, it's like saves you so much time.
Well,
Um,
personally, I wouldn't even know where to start to find a coach. Like I would have had no idea if it wasn't for like Cece, right? But now I mean TikTok is more of a thing and Instagram and stuff, and you can find and do your research. But like for me, my thought about a coach would be going to get a personal trainer at the gym.
mhm,
So
yeah.
yeah.
But now there's so much more out there where you can just do your workouts whenever you want. Um, but that's something else I wanted to get into about like where you were, what you've evolved to now, and how like you only save like drinking and stuff for special occasions. And I know we already talked a lot about like the drinking aspect and everything, but how you've been able to shift your mindset to like you want something more out of life compared to where you were at 1 year ago. Like you were like you said this already, you're like, come on, Ken, like I know you can achieve more. I know you can, but you're just like living this life, right? Day to day, and in that self-sabotage mode. But
Mm-hmm.
you knew that you were capable of more, but actually stepping into that can be super difficult. So like how were you able to overcome that and know that you fully were deserving of more and a better life and a better body?
Yeah. So I mean, I was sick of sitting in depression. I was sick of just sitting and eating and watching Netflix, and that was my day. I would go serve the people I had to serve, whatever job I was doing, come home, eat, and watch TV. And I was like, if this is how I'm going to go out of this world, this fucking sucks. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I am someone who likes to be, I'm not going to say like over the top, but I always know there's more. And I've always been like that for myself. Like I moved out when I was 16 because I wanted to be some independent woman. Like there was no need for me to do it, but I've always put myself through challenges. I can never just stand still. I can't. So for me, I did that for, I feel like when I got into my relationship, that's when I just kind of stopped doing other things because it was like, I have a boyfriend. Like,
Comfort.
it's comfort. I'm not out there looking for a guy or like I'm fine. My life is fine. I'm making money. I'm paying my bills. And then I was like, no, this isn't it. This is not it.
Yeah.
So I yeah, like with signing up with you, I was doing all of that and then yeah, I fell off and stuff and then I was getting back into that depression cycle and back into that comfortable feeling. And I was like, "Okay, I can't do this again." So, I just kind of was like, "What can I change?" I wrote down a list and I was like, "What is it that I need to change? Is it my friends? Is it my environment? Is it my job? Is it my house? Is it my partner? Like what the hell is it? Is it me?" And a lot of the times people don't pick themselves, they pick
Mm-hmm.
everything else, right? And they have trouble blaming themselves
Yeah.
or, looking really hard within.
Taking responsibility.
Yeah, a lot of people just rather put it on someone else because it's a lot easier, right? And so I was like, you know what? It's not my friends because A, I'm too busy like to even talk to them, or I don't want to leave my house because I'm like embarrassed of how I look, or I'm too tired or whatever. It's not my partner because he's a freaking saint and like is so supportive of me. And yeah, I may hate my job, but I do make good money and I can shoot for another job, but I need this job in order to pay my rent and my
Hmm.
life. So I was like, I think it's you. I think it's you,
You're
Ken.
like, damn it.
Fuck, not me. And so then I started going through my habits in my day. And I was like, okay, well, Mariah wants me to do this morning routine and watch these mindset videos. And I was like, oh, really? Like, is it really going to help? So I was like,
Yeah.
just do it. Just do it. So I started doing it. And then I started waking up earlier rather than sleeping an hour before I had to be at work and then feeling so stressed and in a rush. Started waking up half an hour earlier, like every week. Now I'm down to about 7:30 a.m., which is pretty huge for me because I usually sleep till about 9:30, 10.
Well,
So
and you work like you work like afternoon to evening. So it's not like you
Yeah.
work at like 8 to 5. Like sometimes you end work like late, right?
Yeah, like 9:30, 10 o'clock,
Yeah. So
right?
your
So,
life is kind of just like shifted a little bit compared to
mhm,
the average like 9 to 5 job or something like
yeah. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so what can I do? I go to work and I have no time for myself, but you work till 8:30, 9 o'clock. How are you gonna have time for yourself? We'll make time. There's always time to make time. You can
that.
always fucking make time. And I'm saying this with so much aggression because I can't believe that I let myself get away with not doing anything for myself for so long and just expecting my life to randomly change without putting in the work. So I started watching your videos and then I started listening to more podcasts instead of watching TV or listening to music on my way to work or to the gym. I would listen to podcasts. And although people are like, oh, some podcasts are really boring, there's so much information and peace that you can get within listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that. Um, and then I stopped really like ordering food and like going out for food. Even though you can go out for food and eat your macros, I found it a little harder for me because then I would be like, you know what, I'm here already. I can just eat these extra fries. And I knew that was getting me nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all a really hard conversation and a lot of work and a lot of tears and a lot of stuff like from my inner child that had to come out,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think back to all the times where it's like when I decided to move out and I was working at McDonald's at 16 and drinking then too, like, is this really how I wanted to continue? Oh my,
That's
sorry.
all good.
Is this really how I wanted to continue my life? And yeah, and it wasn't. It's not at all how I want to continue my life. So for anyone who is struggling, who thinks that signing up with a coach is just magically going to change your life without putting in the work, you need to listen to the videos. You need to go on your morning walks, your hot girl walks, whatever you want to call them. And you need to like make the best out of your workouts too. Like, yeah, getting there is great and high five for you, but make sure that you're really like feeling your workouts because that's when the endorphins hit and then you start feeling like better. And it's good for depression too, coming from someone who like has severe OCD and depression. It's a lot easier to sit in it and feel like shit than get up and move your body. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's been days where I'm like, I could sleep my whole day away and I would excuse myself to do that. But then I would be like, but it's not doing anything. Like
Yeah, what did
tomorrow,
that
do I
solve?
want, yeah, tomorrow, do I want to feel like this? No. So, like, the best thing I can do if I'm not going to go to the gym today is just at least go for a walk or
Mm-hmm.
like even go sit outside. Like, fresh air is so like amazing for the brain. And I don't think people realize that enough, you
I
know?
think that's so important what you just touched on. And like, I've been saying this so much, and I'm so passionate about it in this day and age where we're so focused on mental health, but it's almost like we're just shutting out how physical health impacts your mental
Yeah.
health. It goes hand in hand. And like, obesity is on the rise, and the mental health crisis is on the rise. Those
Yeah.
things are not opposite of each other, they go hand in hand. Like, working on your mental health is not just allowing yourself to sit in it because that's like what you want, it's focusing on what you need. And sometimes, or a lot of the times, when you feel like that, going and doing what you need is not what you want to do in that moment, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah. And like eating shitty foods too, right? Like all that stuff affects you mentally. Like I've noticed like, you know, eating I don't really like fast food. If I had to choose one, it'd probably be like a McDonald's cheeseburger and small fries or something like that. But like if I were to eat that, the next day I feel like absolute shit. Or
Mhm.
like ice cream. I love Ben and Jerry's cookie dough ice cream, my all-time favorite sweet. But if I eat that and like I mean a whole pint, okay? Like in my little depression den, the next day I'm gonna feel like, okay, well, let me eat something shitty again because like I already feel like shit. And then I feel like it's so much harder to feel better than people actually think it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I should have gone out for a walk the next day rather than order an extra large pizza or, you know, like whatever you choose to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I think trying to eat, you know, vegetables and get your fruits in and get all the healthy stuff in helps the brain too. Like it really feeds the brain rather than eating,
Absolutely.
you know.
It does, and that's proven. And like, there's so much research and studies coming out nowadays about how like your gut your gut is like attached to your brain. Like you have serotonin like in your gut, and like with eating certain foods and how that affects that. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit. Obviously, we should have like studies and stuff to figure all this stuff out. But everything in the human body is connected. And if
Yeah.
you think that like eating like shit is going to help you with your mindset, you're absolutely crazy. Like that
Mm-hmm.
ice cream is not going to make you feel better. You
No.
want it to, you think it is. And the reason why you're going to that comfort food is because you have trauma attached to that issue. And that's your comfort. And that's how
Yeah.
you deal with that. But that's not a lifelong strategy. The lifelong strategy is going to therapy of figuring out why you use food as a coping mechanism, putting in strategies to be like, do I actually want that food? Or am I using it because I'm stressed from work? Do I actually need a glass of wine when I finish work every single day? Or should I probably figure out how to manage my stress levels better from work every single day? We just
Yeah.
get into these habits and then we let them control our life, and then we end up thinking and convincing ourselves we need those things. In reality, we want those things. Again,
Yeah.
the thing you need is often the thing that you don't want to do in that moment. And I think that list that you've said you created is absolutely incredible. And someone listening to this right now needs to do that ASAP. I think that's really, really cool. What you did was you wrote out a list, because oftentimes there's going to be a mixture most
Mm-hmm.
of the time, well, actually, all of the time, I think it is an important mindset to have. Everything is always your fault, always, no matter what in your life. Always. Doesn't matter if somebody rear ended you. That's the time you chose to drive on the highway, whatever, right? That's a little bit excessive. But like, if you start to choose and live in a way where everything is your fault and you're taking responsibility for that, then it's still going to be hard for you to work on yourself, but it's going to be a lot easier to go internally and figure out like, how can I improve from the situation? What can I do? Instead of blaming everybody around you. But there's going to be a mixture. For you, you wrote down all the important things and the things that impact your life. And you said, okay, is it my environment? Because a lot of the times people are in shitty environments and they need to get the fuck out. And
Yeah.
that's really impacting them as well. If it's not that, though, is it your partner? Is it who you live with? Are they supportive of you? Do they drag you back down? Like, how is that environment? Because there's multiple environments. And if that's okay, and you can truly 100% say that, yes, my partner is 100% supportive of me and what I do, okay, then you need to go like deeper into you now. Where can you improve? Or is there multiple things? Do you need to change your environment? And do you need to go in deep and work on yourself? It's always going to be you. That's a given. That's a given, but there could be other factors at play, and you just need to be honest with yourself about that. And it's very, very hard to do sometimes, but I do believe we all subconsciously know the truth. It's if we're willing to actually act on that and change those things in our life.
Yeah. And sometimes you can't do it yourself, right? So you need, well, you can't. You cannot go deeper into yourself without some sort of therapy because a lot of the time you kind of block it out, right? Like you'll be like, okay, yeah, but you'll only touch on it surface level. So I think it's important. And I was like so nervous to go to therapy for the longest time. Like Cece, who got me started with you. So I was like, I think you need to go to therapy. And I was like, now I can figure it out on my own. And she's like, okay, like, Ken, and you're like, seriously, man. And then I finally started therapy. And honestly, it's nice to have someone to talk to that you trust that can go deeper and help you be the best version of yourself because I really do feel like everyone should be the best version of themselves. No one should settle for being mediocre ever in their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's super hard for people to find that drive. It's so much easier, again, I'll say it, to sit in front of your TV and eat a bag of freaking sweet chili heat Doritos than it is to go on a 35-minute walk listening to a podcast when it's raining. But
Mm-hmm.
that 35-minute walk is going to help you be a better version of yourself than eating that bag of Doritos. And I'll say it
Absolutely.
again and again and again. And I love when people ask me and to help them get some sort of like Ken, like you used to be a party animal and now you're like Mother Teresa. How did this happen?
That's
And
awesome.
and
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
name
yeah.
that. That's what the podcast name is. From party animal to Mother Teresa. That's awesome.
Yeah, my friend Tash has always called me Mother Teresa. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna go have a drink tonight. And I'm like, I'm gonna go home and get my cozy robe and light a candle. She's like, all right, Mother Teresa.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
It just takes a lot of work on yourself and hiring people to help you achieve that because yeah, you may think you're Albert Einstein and you can get to it by yourself, but you can't. It's impossible. So
hmm And
get
it's
help.
no shame in getting help in every
No.
aspect, right? Like, and that's a
Yeah.
thing, like you might think that, okay, well, I'm just gonna hire a coach for my fitness and my health levels, but you might need someone for both because
Mhm.
you definitely don't want to just default to one because it goes both ways, right? That's amazing if you get a coach and you're working on like your physical, your internal health, and that coach helps with your mental health and mindset as well. But you also can't keep blocking out that other side if you actually need to go get a therapist. And the
Yeah.
same thing is reverse. If you are working just on your mindset and you're going to a therapist, you also probably need a coach to work on your physical health. It goes back and forth. And oftentimes you need different people specializing in different things.
Mhm.
Therapist isn't going to help with your physical health, and a coach, a personal trainer, isn't qualified to give you therapy and have a therapy session with you. And that's really important to understand that on both sides as well. Um, but like we were talking about how you mentioned you believe that everybody should be the best version of themselves, and I agree, and that's like why I do what I do is
Mhm.
like I think focusing and working on your health both physically and mentally is going to be able to help bring out your best self, and you're going to be able to step into your own light, and you're going to be able to shine that onto everybody else, and you're going to figure out what you should actually be doing in this world. Like, you know that your end point isn't being a server for the rest of your life. You know that you're made for more. At certain points
Yeah.
in your life, it's important for you to be a server, and you're bringing kindness and light and good food to people, right? And that was your purpose at that one time. But and knowing like we're not demonizing like being a server, that was your purpose for like a certain time of your life. But knowing that you're not meant to be there forever and you're capable of doing more. So, how do you feel like now you've been able to, like, I don't think you're quite there yet. You obviously haven't stepped into your full potential and your
Mhm.
light and your power and what you're supposed to do. But how do you think you've been able to take the steps to know that you don't want to stay in a serving position forever and you want to start stepping into your own light?
Yeah, so like I think a lot of it has been obviously working with you and stuff and like just watching how successful you like from when I first started with you, like you've always been amazing, but I just keep watching you grow and grow and grow and
Mhm.
it's so inspirational and I'm like, "Oh my
Thank
God, this
you.
girl's younger than me first of all." And like look at her just like what a queen. And I think for me, it's just like, wow, like she can do it. I can do it. Anyone can succeed and do what they love doing. Um, and I just realized like you could be happy being a server. I'm
Mhm.
just not. And I know
Yeah.
for me, it's not my happy place, but I do love people. So I think finding a position and a job of helping people achieve what they want to achieve in life and like happiness that's what I have a calling for. I don't think I could ever, and I've tried to sit in an office chair and do that job. And I actually was so miserable because I really do like people and I
Hmm.
like chatting with people. And I like, that's why I am good at serving. And I did enjoy it at the first bit, but I've been doing it for 10 years. So yeah, you could do whatever job you're doing right now and find happiness. But personally, I know that this isn't the
You've
end
just
goal.
outgrown it.
Yeah,
Like that,
yeah,
like I said, that was your purpose for the time being.
yeah,
Like you said, you love like being with people, interacting with people, but like you've outgrown that now. And
yeah,
also like you've recognized that you've outgrown that. A lot of people don't recognize that.
yeah. And I'm super happy that I recognized it because that was my fear for so long. I was like, well, what's going to change? How am I going to know what I'm supposed to do? I've watched a lot of my friends go to college and go to university, and I'm like, yeah, well, I'm still serving, like they're like, what are
Mhm.
you doing? Or I'll even have customers be like, so are you in school? And I'm like, no. And I think for so many people, school is such a big thing. And
Mhm.
amen to those people who are going working their asses off in university and college. But I feel like people shouldn't judge other people for not going to university and college.
Absolutely.
And I felt really like judged and like panicked. And I'm like, I'm 27 and I've never gone to college. Like, what the fuck am I doing? So I think that there's a lot of like growth and there's a lot of drive that I still have to do before, yeah, I step into my light, but I know where I'm going and I know how I'm going to get there with obviously help. Um, and yeah, just continuing on the journey because I know right now this isn't like the end. I'm not happy with what I'm doing, but I know I have to do it to
Mhm.
get to hustle and get to where I want to go. Nothing will ever be handed to me, and I love the challenge and I like working for my things in life.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And that's the biggest reward is when
yeah.
you put in the effort and the work to get there. And like you
Yeah.
said, like in the world we live in now, it's like, yeah, if you're not in a career and you're not currently going to university to get to a career, you're like frowned upon.
Hmm.
But what's amazing about our world now is there's so many other opportunities. Like I'm a university dropout and I'm doing just fine now. So things are
Yeah.
good, things are
Yeah.
okay. So there's so many more opportunities, and just because you haven't gone to university and just because you're in your late 20s doesn't mean like you're behind. Like,
Oh, late 20s, Mariah. I'm closer to
sorry.
30. Don't
Sorry,
give
I
me a
said late
heart
20s.
attack.
I'm mid 20s now. The other day I thought I was like, wait, am I 24? Am I 25? And Spencer's like, you're 25. I was like, damn it. I thought I was 24. I was like, sick. I'm like, wow, I'm like getting to the age where I forget my age now.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
But no, like,
Yesterday, my dad's, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, like, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can completely restart your life. Like, I
Hmm.
know people and friends who have been in careers their whole life and they are now leaving to pursue being a coach because health and fitness has changed their life so much that they want to be able to do that for other people. And like, we can speak about it a bit with you. Like, you're taking your personal training certification now, like, you want to get into coaching and helping people. And I think it's absolutely incredible that it all started from you focusing on your health and fitness first.
Yeah.
And that has made you realize what you want to do, and it's helping you get to where you want to be.
Yeah, like it was weird. Like one day it just kind of clicked because I was like, okay, I love working with people. I love making people happy and I love watching people grow. And so even when I was doing keto, my parents, like not my dad, but my stepdad and my mom were like, "Oh, can you help us out?" I was like, "All right." So we went to Costco and I spent like 800 of their dollars on all these keto things for them. And like I helped them and I watched them lose the weight. Although at the time I thought it was a healthy way. Now I realize it's totally not. But I loved that. I loved the taste
Mhm.
of that. And then working with you, realizing how happy working out has made me and all the mindful stuff and like mindset work and healthy habits, I'm like, you know what? I feel like I could help other women. Like I feel like I have like gotten so much knowledge from myself, like working within, that I could like help other people, and like learning from you too, right? I've just like found such a passion and a love for it. And now my parents are like, "Can you help me find a workout?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Aw.
Like they went and bought a barbell the other day and they're like, "Ken, we
Aw,
got a barbell. Can you come teach us how to do some things?" And I was
that's
like
amazing.
it legit makes me so happy.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, not in a million years would I ever think that I would be taking my personal training certificate. Like that would not have been something I would have thought. Like I wanted to be an addictions counselor for the longest time. I wanted to be like a dentist at one point. Like I wanted to do all these things, but never once had I worked towards those things.
Mm,
And now I'm so proud that I'm finally putting in place to be a personal trainer, and I'm doing all the steps to get there.
hmm.
And it also doesn't like it makes me happy than it feels like work, like studying all this stuff and doing the course. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Although it is a lot of information.
Yeah.
It's like it's fun for me. It's not like I'm like doing a shitty math test and I'm like, fuck, like when is this gonna end? Like I see my future and I see how cool it could be, and I've never had that feeling before.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
really cool. And
Yeah. So
you've been able to like uncover that and work towards that now. And it's pretty crazy because I went to look back to see like exactly when you started with me, and it was November 30th. So literally like
yeah.
11 months, you've like completely, well, almost 12 months, like legit 11 and a half months, you've like completely 180'd your entire life in
Yeah.
a year, in 1 year. And I think sometimes people are reluctant or they get nervous if I'm like, hey, we actually need like 6 months to a year, maybe even a little bit more to get to your goals. And they're like, oh my God, like that's way too long. Do you know
Hmm.
how fast a year goes? Like
Yeah.
how crazy fast has like November 2021 to October 22 been? And your life is going to pass you by no matter what. Why not spend it becoming the best version of yourself?
Yeah.
Because you're going to live a lot healthier, a lot happier, a lot better, a more financially free life once you start to focus on your health, your internal and your external well-being. And you've been
Yeah.
able to do that this last year.
Yeah. I know. And it's so crazy. I remember like sitting in my boyfriend's bedroom on the phone with you, being like, yeah, like I just never want to leave my house. Like, you're like, so what would you like? And I felt so helpless. Like, and I can't even believe that was like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, wow. Like,
You're a
it's,
completely different person than a
yeah.
year ago in
Even in
all the
my
best ways.
pictures, like you look
Yeah.
and it's that one
A
picture.
whole other story. That's a whole other story. If you have not seen Kennedy's transformation post, like go to my Instagram because it's like we're talking all about like mindset, emotional, like all of that changing. Um, when you change that, your physical results change with it. So it's like
Yeah.
we've been focusing a lot on the mental and emotional, and that's why you have such amazing physical results because like you're a completely different person. You've lost all the body fat from all the right areas and you've gained muscle in all the right areas. Like
I've never had an ass in my whole life. And although it may not be big, I can still see a little bit
it's
of a
getting
glute.
there
It's getting there. I'm
for
getting the
sure.
peach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. So
crazy.
and you know what? Another thing for me too, like I stopped focusing so much on my physical appearance because
Mhm.
I started focusing more mentally, because I felt like, at the beginning you asked me like what made me fall off. And it was because I was so working at my physical appearance that I wasn't like doing things that made me feel like mentally happy. And I think a lot of that too is what branched out into why I didn't feel like I deserved it, because mentally I was so effed up. Like I just felt cloudy every day and was just
Mhm.
like staring at the mirror, staring at the scale, getting upset when the scale was up or whatever. That like I didn't do the steps mentally to feel clarity. And even now, like I'll look at a picture, I'll do my check in, and I'm super proud, but I'm not so meticulously focused, because if I were to do that, I don't think that I would like be mentally as clear or as like getting to my happiest point, because I'd be like, well, why isn't my ass bigger? Or why
Mm-hmm.
isn't my stomach flatter? You know what I mean? Like, I realize it's a journey and it's not going to be like overnight I'm a supermodel. So I like the journey I'm going on, learning more about myself mentally. And I think a lot of people should focus on that. Like, what are your mental changes? You know, what, how do you feel? How are your energy levels, rather than like, what do you look like in the mirror? When you're so hyper focused on that, you're not going to get the best positive results, right?
Yeah.
So I think I learned a lot about that stuff too.
I think when you like everybody when they start, your goals were very superficial. And like you said at
Yes.
one point, you were going through the motions and like, oh, I should just be doing this because it's good. If you have that mindset and attitude, you're obviously not doing it from a place of self-love. You're doing it because
Mm.
you think you should look a certain way for like the outside. Even though you started originally for you, you can get really easy to get caught up in that. And I think a lot of people do that as well, as they get caught up in the superficial. And yes, like we can all achieve our dream body, our dream physique, but at not at the expense of what's happening internally, inside and mentally up here. Like when you focus first on what's up here and your internal health, your physical appearance will show what is going on inside of you. And that's exactly what you did. And that's how you've been able to get up to this point now. And that's how you're going from like 1 year ago, would you have ever thought that you'd be thinking about possibly doing a bikini competition?
No, not at all. I would have looked at you like you were a nutcase.
Yeah.
Like, and now I'm obsessed. I follow so many online just because I'm like, oh my God, look at this one, look at this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, I'll daydream about it too. Like, just me on stage, I'll probably cry, like bawl my eyes out
Aw.
after, even if I lose. Who cares? I still did it, and I did it for
Mm-hmm.
myself. And the amount of determination and the mindset you have to have going in one of those is actually just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, you'll really figure out who you are as a person
Oh
doing
yeah.
that.
I'm excited. Kennedy's gonna
Yeah,
be my first prep client.
I know.
I'm
I'm so
excited.
excited.
It'll be
Yeah.
awesome. So if someone's listening right now, there's someone listening who was in or who is in your exact position that you were in 1 year from now, and they're nervous to get help, or they're like, well, what if it won't work for me? Or like, I don't even know what to do, or like, how do I even get into a fitness program? Or I don't think I can lose the weight, or they've failed so many times in the past. Like, what would you tell somebody who was in your position when you were maybe apprehensive to go all in on your health and fitness journey?
Oh, it's not a tough one, but there's just so much that I would say. So I have to shortly paraphrase it here. I would say that there's always room for success. Although you failed a million times, so you think, you can always succeed, but you have to try at it. Um, and I would say you definitely need to hire someone to help you and teach you things, right? Because, you can't do it all on your own. You have to have some sort of guidance. Um, and really enjoy the journey. If you don't get the results in a month or 2 months, realize what you're learning within. Like, really, really focus, because nothing in life is easy. Nothing worth like being happy about is ever easy, right? So
Mhm.
if you can work towards something and see a greater you at the end of the day, like, that's, you're winning, right? Like, if you can even think about asking someone for help, you're on the right step. And I know it's super hard, but like, just do your research, do like, think about it. Do you want to be sitting in the same place, like nervous, looking up coaches on Instagram for like 2 years? Or are you going to bite the bullet, right? Like, it
Mhm.
might give you anxiety to talk to someone or reach out to someone, but think about yourself like me, right? Like 11 months ago, I was that person being like, well, like, are you sure, Cece? Like, come on, like, I'm nervous, like, I can do it, and she's like, no, you need it. I can see it. You do it, like,
Mhm.
do it. And I was like, oh, well, I can do it myself. But I'm so thankful. Like, I could not have gotten to this spot without Mariah. So,
Thank you.
yeah, of
I appreciate
course.
that. And now you're
Yeah.
that person that Cece was. You
Yeah.
have brought me some of your friends and clients
Yeah.
who have now
Yeah.
started on a fitness journey. So it's that trickle effect when you start to focus on your health and fitness, like I
Mhm.
said, and you start to shine your light on everybody else, you start to be that positive person in other people's life that you needed at that moment.
Yeah.
Now you get to become that person that somebody needs. And I think that's absolutely incredible because, like you said, there's like no better feeling than when somebody comes to you and you're like, hey, like, can I get your advice? Like, I need some help. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like I did it.
Me?
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like if other people are just like asking me some advice, like, wow, I really did change. So they've noticed that I've completely
Mhm.
changed as a person for the better, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's really cool. And yeah, I agree with everything you said. Like you can keep failing, you can keep failing, you can keep failing. It's kind of just like kissing the frogs before you find your Prince Charming.
Yeah. I've
But
kissed a lot of frogs.
yeah, but you will, right? You've kissed a lot of ugly frog fitness programs and and diets before you've been able to kiss the Prince Athletic Aesthetics.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's really important is like don't keep or like what am I trying to say here? Like, don't give up because success
Mhm.
is just around the corner. You're just one more like hard decision away from getting to your goals and
Yeah.
reaching there. But you will only fail if you give up. That's the only time you ever fail. If you keep
Yeah.
trying again, 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 and you keep quote unquote failing, you're not actually failing. You're just figuring out what doesn't work and what is going to work for you.
Yeah. I agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah. Well,
So,
thank you so much for coming on
you're
and spending
welcome.
time with me and opening up about your story. It's been really awesome to hear, and I think someone out there is in your exact position that you were a year ago, and I want that person to know that they can be where you are now, but of course
Yeah.
in their own light in their own life. But they need to take a chance on themselves and really step into what they know they deserve and they can. Um, it's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be worth
Yeah.
it.
Thank you for having me on. It's my first podcast, like I said, and I was nervous, but now it just feels like so smooth. Like,
Hmm.
and I'm happy to talk about my journey, like anything. I'm an open book, and I really like to watch people, like I said, be successful. So
Hmm.
I'm
Where
happy.
can they find you if they want to ask you, if they're like, Kennedy, are you sure? Like, should I do?
They can find me not on my hacked account because it's still up there. I'll tell
That's
you right now.
crazy.
Still there. Still there. Kennedy.Macedo M. All lowercase.
How do you
Not the
spell
other
it?
one. KENNEDY dot MACEDOM.
Perfect.
Yeah, don't do the other one. It's got a bunch of O's at the end and it's some Arab guy in
And you'll probably get a
Dubai.
message about crypto. So if you know you get that, it's not her. Block that one and message the other one.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that listened and spent your time with us. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yes. Thanks.